good evening, everyone or whoever is jumping on. We are going to continue with walking through the Bible. We are going to be Deuteronomy chapter 28 and 29. Please excuse the lateness. When life you still got to fulfill your obligations. And I actually really love doing walking through the Bible. Um, I passionately call this as the pages turn. And while we are doing the walking through the Bible, uh, I have noticed, I've actually heard a couple of people say they kind of stray away from the books of the law because it sounds kind of harsh. And I will have to beg to agree. I believe that in life that you have to have balances. You have to know the good that can be, and you also have to know the bad that there can be. Meaning, you need to know, like, with direction, with correction. You want to know how to not just exist, but also to thrive. And I believe that the Bible gives us that balance of God's love, God's mercy, and then God's rules. It's actually wonderful because it shows at least God's not giving you a question as to how he wants to be worshiped or how he wants to be loved. And just, for all intents and purposes, is like the way we should be with our lives. We have to set boundaries, and this is what God, he was setting boundaries, wanting to know the people that he wanted, the people that he cherished the most, the people that he was willing to do any and everything for. He wanted them to understand these are the boundaries that I want you to adhere by. And then if you do, this is what will happen. So we start off with Deuteronomy 28. And as we're in 28, of course, God's listed the blessings that everyone. Uh, the interesting thing is the setting, which we have already read over and gone over, of where the children of Israel were actually positioned at this time geographically. They were in what I would like to call the valleys of decision, where they were situated between Mount Alba, which was the mountain where the law was actually given, and that was the mountain on the side where they were, if they were going to choose the curse. And basically, choosing the curse is like, oh, I want to be cursed. No, they had to choose whether or not they were going to turn aside the gods that they were deciding that they wanted to follow, or if they were going to serve God, and that was going to be on Mount Gerizim. So interestingly enough, Mount Gerizim is the place of blessing. And one would probably argue, like, why would anyone choose to go to a cursed place or go to a blessed place? But God laid it out very simply. He was like, if you want to serve me, go to this mountain. And if you want to serve your other gods, go to the other mountain. Simple and plain as that. And the priest stood in the middle in that valley, and they were there with the Ark of the Covenant there. They was like, listen, this is what you want to do. So when we go into chapter 28, you is God gives to Moses, and they declared, you had some um of the tribes on the Mount of Blessings, and they were declaring and shouting out. In my mind, is I'm very graphic, and I don't know if you ever seen Veggie Tales before, but they would be on the side of the mountain, and I just imagine one person shouting, these are the blessings of the Lord, obey me. And then on the other side, these are the curses, still, come with the other guys. And that's basically what was going back and forth. And the children of Israel had to make a decision. And it was all up to them whether or not they wanted to actually serve the Lord and walk in obedience so that they could receive the blessing, or if they wanted to walk in disobedience and do whatever they wanted to do. And how many of you know or even recognize that that is actually where we are even in today's society? We have the choice of whether or not we are going to follow God and go with the blessings that God has written out with us by being obedient to his word, or if we're going to go ahead and just do whatever we want to do and just be like, well, come hell or high water, I'm going to just do what I want. And it's your choice. I don't know if I would choose the latter, but hey, we are all to each his own. So the blessings of obedience are beautiful in the essence of uh when he was listening, when the list of what the blessings were going to touch, it was actually like very profound. So uh you start off with the blessings of where you live or where you come from. So that's your blessings of the city, blessed in your country. So where you live will be blessed. Then the blessings of the fruit of your body. So that means the fruit of, whether it's your children or whether it was your actual body, um or things that come out of your body. And then your work will be the next thing, the increase of your herds and the increase of your cattle, meaning the things that you put your hand to, the proceeds from what you work from. So in essence, I guess what you would put it today is, if you're at work, then there will be a blessing on what it is that you work for. And then there's a blessing of provision. So where your basket and your kneading bowl, up until that moment, the children were being Israel were being fed by manna. So the fact that they were able to be able to use a kneading bowl to make their own bread was just representation that they will actually be given what they need in order for them to thrive. So there will be a blessing of provision. And then you go into verse 6, where is the blessing of when you come and you go. That's blessings in your travel. And then blessings will be in your finances, which is blessed when you come in, blessed when you go out, which will be your travel. And then the blessing in your storehouses where you set your hand to. So whether it is your savings or anything like that, that is in your finances. And then the Lord will cause your enemies, whoever rises against you before you, they will be defeated, meaning that is also God's blessing in your protection, meaning he surrounds you with these blessings. And then verse 9, which is he will establish you as a holy people, which is a blessing of the relationship with God. And that is right there in and of itself is beautiful, meaning that he marks you. It says that he will his that he will be sworn, it will be sworn to you in the commandments of the Lord as you walk in his ways. um we are called of the Lord, just like it says, and then all the earth shall see that you are called by the name of the Lord, and they shall be afraid of you. Meaning they should respect you, they should know who you are. And honestly, that is all of these things. It just makes it, is beautiful. I guess one of the most famous verses out of here is verse 13. And the Lord will make you the head and not the tail. You hear people say that. You will be above and not beneath. You will be the lender and not the borrower. So it goes on all the way up until verse 14. So you shall not turn aside from any word which I have commanded you this day, to the right or to the left. Go after after other gods to serve them. That was the biggest stipulation. The biggest stipulation was your obedience and not going against what God had said, or serving any other god, which is part of the Ten Commandments. And it was interesting because that was one of the main things the children of Israel at the time was struggling with, or whether or not they were going to continue with serving the gods that they met, that they were introduced into in Egypt, or if they was going to serve the one and over only Yahweh. And so when you go on to verse 15, actually 15 toward all the way to the end, it starts listing a bunch of different curses that can happen. And it was like, so one would ask, well, why in the world would there be so many verses about a curse versus more verses about the blessing? Mostly because God wanted us to understand, and he wanted the children of Israel to understand the underscores of the gravity, the underscores of the gravity of disobedience, the gravity of just turning away from him, the gravity of um or the weight. That's because gravity is the most thing is that anchors you down. The weight of what it is to just not revere God as the one and only. He wanted the people to understand, like, listen, if you're not with me, all this other stuff is going to happen to you. Like, if I'm not blessing you in your protection, if I'm not blessing you in your travels, if I'm not blessing your provision, and this is all because of the decision that you made to not put me first, or the decision that you made to not obey what my word is, or what my commands are, or just what my boundaries are. And so, I mean, good Lord, they were saying about tumors and scabs and itching. And he was like, one of the things he reminded them of, okay, you saw how powerful my word is and what my decrees are. This actually goes into chapter 29. You see all of these things and you hear all of it. You experienced what I could do in Egypt. Yet you have decided that, you know what, and Egypt was a country that was based on, other gods, including the king, which was Pharaoh. But either way, God is like, listen, I'm trying to create a covenant with you, and you're choosing to not walk in my blessing. This is what's going to happen. And so, there were, these covenants were stricken in this area, and what ends up happening is, uh like I said, the children of Israel had that choice of whether or not they were going to do. In verse on chapter 29, in verse 4, it says, yet well, actually, let's go back to verse 3. It says, the great trials which your eyes have seen, the signs and the great wonders. Yet the Lord has not given you a heart to perceive, and eyes to see, and ears to hear, until this very day. I have led you for 40 years in the wilderness. Your clothes have not worn out on you, your sandals have not worn out on your feet. You have not eaten bread or drunk wine or similar drink, that ye may know that I am the Lord your God. Meaning, I have protected you, I have kept you, I have sustained you, and you still, you don't really see it. So I'm laying this out flat for you so you can see and understand that as you have come into this place of covenant, I want you to understand that this is your inheritance when you obey me. And the lift of time that I have sustained you in this last 40 years, it is here for you. However, this is the place that you have to make a decision. The 40 years of grace, because that's actually exactly what it was. Every army that they came against, anybody that wanted to come against them, they were either afraid to touch them or they were defeated. For 40 years, basically the children of Israel were in, whether they walked in disobedience or in obedience, was not the determining factor of God's provision, which was a big grace, or God's protection, which was a huge mercy. But he was letting them know that that time has worn out. Now you have come to the time where you have to make the decision, because for the next chapters of your life, I'm going to need you to make a decision that either you're going to follow me or you're not. But if you follow me, these are your blessings. But if you do not, the covenant no longer applies to you, and any and everything can happen to you because you are no longer abiding under my protection, because you have left the boundaries of what you need to do. um and like I said, the covenants that were made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob were still going to stand, and they even hold true today. I don't know if you noticed, but the Jews, and we can say what we want to say, but they still have a very supernatural protection over them, because God covenant and his word does not return into him void. So uh one of the things is they were saying is, so there may not be a man among you, this is verse 18, or a woman or a family or a tribe whose heart turns away today from our Lord to go and serve the gods of these nations. And there may not be among you a root of bearing bitterness or wormwood. And so it may not happen when he hears the words of the curse, that he blesses himself in his heart, saying, I shall have peace, even though I follow the dictates of my own heart, as though the drunkard could be included with the sober. Meaning, if you decide that you don't want to follow and obey, don't sit there and try to convince yourself that you're still going to get the blessing, because he's laying it out for you. That is, it is not your portion, because you've made the decision. It says the Lord will not spare you from his anger, meaning his jealousy, it will burn with against all men who do not choose to be with him. These are all like really powerful and profound things. It's just the understanding of what that God is making. He's letting you know this is the boundary. This is where the limits of my blessing are. And when you cross over that line, you're walking into this not blind. You're walking into this fully knowing exactly what it is you're going to is in store for you. So the question of, well, why is this happening to me? Well, let's check our obedience levels. Just saying. And that right there is a sobering thought in and of itself. Okay, the secret, the last verse of chapter 29, which is verse 29, ironically, is the secret things belong to the Lord our God, but those things which are revealed belong to us and our children forever, that we may do all the words of this law. And that right there, that, oh my gosh, the secret things belong to the Lord our God, but those things which are revealed belong to us. So now that you know, it is applicable to us. Um, and of course, we walk in a different level of grace. We're in a dispensation of grace. This is true. But let's be honest, let's walk in a stronger blessing by the level of our obedience. That's what we want to do. That's how we want to proceed. And that's how I want to go. I want to go ahead and walk in the secret things. Okay. Now that it's revealed to me, I want the blessings to turn my way. Yes, life, like today. Life does life. But at the end of the day, walking in obedience is already going to turn things our way. There is not a promise that these things won't come towards you, but God is promising that He'll keep you when they do, and He'll be there with you when they arise. And that right there, my friend, my family, um, that right there is enough of a promise to make me stick with God. And I pray that it's enough to make you stick with Him as well. And that is all I have for you. I will be returning on the morrow for chapters 30. And that in and of itself is that it's another depiction of God's grace. I don't know why people say that there was no grace in the Old Testament, but just even the way He gives His laws lets you know that grace and mercy was present, because, like I said, God is the same yesterday, today, and forever. So if He was graceful and merciful, if He is graceful and merciful towards us, why would He not be the same way to His called people? So anyway, I'm not even going to go there yet, because I'll jump into chapter 30 by accident. So we're just going to stop right where we are, and I will see you on tomorrow when we will pick up with chapter 30. You all be blessed, and may God's face smile upon you, and may you sleep in peace.